streaming. Okay, we should be live. Oh, we are live. Is this... let me go onto YouTube.
Oh, there you go. I'm on your YouTube.
I should be live. Don't worry, we're doing it live. It's fine. Come on.
Yeah, we are. I can see your face on the live.
I've never done this before. You're taking my live virginity. Is it live? I can't see it.
It is.
Oh yeah, I can. I am live. Perfect. So I'll mute it. Someone watching now. We'll start sharing. This is so interesting. I guess I should have done a, what do you call it? Start streaming thing. It's okay. Well, this is live. We're doing it live. I actually, the funny thing is, because I remembered last podcast to introduce you properly before when we started. Because I remember, as I published the latest one today, I remember that's the one where I I did it at the end after the outro, so I had to cancel the outro, and I was just like, I felt really bad, because I was like, oh, as I used to be an artist, I always love, well, obviously, and people I work with, I'll promote. So
yes. Flamethrower Ducks is in the chat. I've been waiting for Kasrkin guide. Super hyped.
Yeah, this is actually a highly requested one. This is the, what do you call it? It's one I haven't gotten around to yet, partly because it might change. I was kind of hoping it would change in the balanced data slate with one of the changes, but it didn't really happen. So, because Kasrkin are super popular.
Now you can buy the models.
Yes! Although they're still good in 40k, right?
Yeah, they're all right. They get used.
It's okay. Don't worry, everyone. This is my liveness. I'm so used to Twitch. I feel weird. It's just like I feel like betrayed Twitch, but in a good way.
Yeah. Don't forget to like the stream, guys.
Yes.
See, that's what John should be just saying, right?
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. And Josh Brolin's in this book. Look.
Oh my gosh. Oh shit. Yeah. There's him. What on earth? I was June too, by the way.
Yeah.
It did not end in the way the book ends. I was just like, oh, this is not how this is supposed to end. They've skipped a lot of stuff. Spoilers. I will say Christopher Walken felt quite wasted there.
He also felt the wrong casting, personally.
Yeah, I was like, we need more spice. Someone said he would have been like...
anyone else.
Yeah, because he wasn't even Christopher Walken in it. He was just... I mean, he didn't even do the Christopher Walken things, you know?
He just was a frail old man that just said a few lines.
Yeah. Yeah, he only had, like, what, 5 lines? Something.
I don't know, John. Spoilers.
Well, apparently he agreed because they took him on a holiday to somewhere in Europe. I keep forgetting. I keep thinking it's in the Middle East, but it's actually in Europe. I think it's near Turkey. Budapest. There we go. I'm always like Budapest, I think India. And I'm like, oh no, Budapest is in Hungary. Something like that. But because Tunisia is actually like in Europe nearly. And like that's where they did all the filming for Tatooine. Walken did not feel like the Emperor. He felt like Megamind meant to disguise. Now I remember Megamind 2. Oh gosh. Well, you know what I mean. Megamind, the thingy. But it's interesting, yes. So the original thing was because in our recent group, they posted a picture for their event, and they used AI art, and then they were very confused. Yeah, so they were very confused why people like actually downvoted it to hell. And I was like, look, as a former artist and someone who works with a lot of artists, AI art is horrible, and I hate it and I despise it. So don't use AI art. And they were like, well, there's like the worst thing was there was someone saying like, oh, there's all this possibility in future with AI art, and I was like, yeah, but you're just killing artists and stealing.
It's
their
derivative.
Work. Yep.
It's theft.
Can't do hands and fingers. I was like, you know.
AI got accused of using AI prompts jokingly by Mikey earlier because on one of his t-shirt designs, there's a Necron that only has 3 fingers.
That's weird. But
Because
yeah,
obviously I didn't draw the fourth finger, and
yeah,
it's taken 4 years for anyone to notice.
that's weird. But it was like you had like club fingers and stuff. It's like I'm very anti AI art. Like even I had some American friends who were doing art for their tournament pack, and I was like, "Oh, cool! What artist did you get to pay this?" So this was before like the big boom, and they were like, "I just did AI art," and I was like, "Oh,
I don't go to events to do that.
oh, that's good." Like, because the thing is, this is like a huge different tangent. We'll get to the Kasrkin guide. Don't worry. This is just like because if you want to basically watch it properly live, it'll be as a podcast. All right, I'll cover the Kaz. This is like the warm up into the Kasrkin stream. If you watched Rob, who always watches all of my streams from the Honest Wargamer, it's kind of like how his streams go. He loves my channel so much. Actually, I'd highly recommend checking out what do you call it, Square Based. It's really good, especially if you're interested even in Old World. He actually makes it really fun. Like he got me into Old World, but I was already on the fence, and then he pushed me in. I was too young for Watch Dune to. I've never seen fanatics like Fremen in the other movies. Oddly, if you've played Necromunda, literally, what are the desert Necromunda people called?
Ash Waste Nomads.
Yeah, they're literally just Fremen, effectively. And I was just like, oh, they're just. Like, that's even a recent steal. Like,
John, let's not go down the rabbit hole of 40k and
yeah, the
being
Imperium.
derivative. Games Workshop's IP is the equivalent of AI art.
Yeah. Look, the moment we get a
Derivative.
Space Marine called like Jeremiah Jeremiah Alabama, then we can say they've gone too far. But yeah, I'm on YouTube. I'll be doing more YouTube streams.
Why?
I'm not. I mean, technically, I'm doing better than what do you call it? I was on Twitch, so we'll see. Because I have over 10,000 subscribers. I was supposed to do a Q&A stream, but let's get into the Kasrkin guide. So when we'll do like because we're going to do more streams. But yeah, okay, we'll go into that. So greetings and welcome to Critcast episode 35, where we're going over the Kasrkin guide, and I'm joined by Scrivo. How are you, Scrivo?
Yeah, really good. I spent the weekend in sunny Telford, so I'm really eager to do something that's not 40k.
Oh, what were you in Telford for?
Secret things, John.
I was sick all week, so I've been painting a lot of stuff for Kill Team. So I'm working on these new Vet Guard. So I actually built them when the Inquisition squad came out, Inquisitor Agent. So they're Cadians, but as Vet Guard. Well, you can't properly see them. Doesn't have autofocus. And I was just like, I fully built the roster, but now I'm just waiting for the balanced data slate. Because we should have a balanced data slate either this week or the week after. Because the big thing is Adepticon. We are recording on the 18th of March, which is technically the Monday before Adepticon. And Adepticon will go live this week with the preview on the Wednesday night, which will become on like Thursday morning for us, where it's basically going to be the surprise reveal of Votan Pioneers versus Cadian with Gene Stealer co-upgrades. Surprise! Ooh, we've only known about it for 6 weeks. I would love to be wrong, to be honest.
If you're wrong, and it turns out that we're just getting something much more interesting,
I'd be happy. It would mean like Varak is finally wrong, 'cause it would just be a pleasant thing. But so this is before Adepticon, and normally with Games Workshop they try and not release balanced data slates before the week they definitely before big American events, because you've got LVO, Adepticon, and Nova, which are like the big three for American events. Then you got LGT in the UK, but we are due a balanced data slate because the last one was the 14th of December, so it should be this week. But I have a feeling they'll delay it to next week because they can.
It could be 2 months late if we go based on Age of Sigmar's balanced data slates.
Oh, that's because.
No one cares.
Yeah, but they've got a new edition coming.
No, they don't, John. How would you know that? Jeez.
Well, this is the funny thing. So we are going to get a new edition of Kill Team this year because it's the 3-year lifespan. So this is the 3rd year of Age of Sigmar 3.0. So we're getting Age of Sigmar 4.0 this year. And Kill Team 2021 was released 3 years ago, so we should have Kill Team 2024. Duncan Roads is Duncan Road Island short.
Yeah, if you actually get a painter called Duncan from anywhere else, you actually have to call them sparkling wine instead of roads. Yeah.
So I just got the joke. I would like to see assault terminators as a new kill team. Maybe, but it would never be balanced. It would be
it would be 3 of them, wouldn't it?
would be 4.
4, you think? Oh,
yeah, but that's like the rumors. Like there are other rumors for other. I mean, everything's just leaking this week from Games Workshop. So like the printing leak, Skaven have been leaked. We've heard rumors today that Azaman has been leaked. So, I mean, by the end of this podcast, Games Workshop might have accidentally leaked again. So who knows what will happen?
We're just going to call them the Mary Rose.
Yeah. But what have I done? Have I gone to any tournaments? No. Oh, actually, I did. I went to 2 tournaments. I forgot. So I went to a tournament with Kasrkin, with Commandos.
Oh my God, you're the worst.
I've been
so
sick.
much
It's
hard
fine.
work.
With Commandos, I came second at Tabletop Republic, and then at Warhammer World, I won with Starstriders. And I have a tournament this Sunday, which is going to be all Beta Decima. It was supposed to be Beta Decima Open. So I was going to run Starstriders, but because it's Beta Decima only, I'm kind of like, I probably should just run Pathfinders, but we'll see. But we've been up to a lot. Like, you've also, because Scrivo, where else can we find you if you're not on Critcast?
I am quite often found on the channel 6++ Gaming, quite often on the That 6++ Plus show, and I do Codex detachment breakdown reviews on there called Cracking the Codex.
No, yeah, it's very useful actually, because I've been trying to get into 40k. I've actually been watching them, so they've been actually pretty good. And we can both be found on Goonhammer, because we're both on Goonhammer now. We're like Goonhammer nerds. But yeah, today we're talking about Kasrkin. That was the brief chill intro bit. So Kasrkin are interesting, right? They are like, how do you describe them? Because the weird thing is when like Imperial Guardsmen are explained to me as being like the elite of humanity. Because we think a guardsman is just like a dude with a las gun, where actually they're highly trained.
They've done the training.
Really, they've been described to me as like they're now actually just like highly trained drilled troops who, like, compared to the normal human, they're like they can do like super crack shots. They can do all these things, whereas a normal human would just like fail. Like, you know how the thing is like a normal human would probably be like ballistic skill 1 or 2 at best.
So if this was all read from narrative, those pieces of narrative are written by Imperial scholars.
Oh, I see.
So it'll be incredibly hyperbolic. That's why it's always like you hear this description of like a Necron plane is like this ultimate killing machine, and the name of it is something they've named it as well. So it's not even like factual information. It's like the ghost stories written by the Imperial scholars because they need to give something a name. So I imagine it's the same with these, where they're like they're the best of the best. It's like, yeah, and then the Space Marines are the best of the best of the best.
Oh, cool.
So
it
can be a little bit kind of, because there's several layers of Imperial Guard as well, isn't there, of eliteness.
Well, because this is a weird thing. We have Scions. I don't know what the up-to-date narrative is with Scions, but Kasrkin are the elites of the elites of the elite, but they're not as elite as Space Marines. Yeah,
because they don't have the upgrades and augments.
But they're like, I think because you got Scions who are picked from like the Scholar Progenium or whatever, but then you have Kasrkin who are specifically Cadians who have just like not only survived a lot of battles, are actually like really elites. Like they're actually crack ops. They have better armor. They have formerly known as Hell Guns, which are now just hotshot las guns. I do miss the name Hell Guns. I'm unsure why Hell Guns were taken away. Like, because Hell Guns are cooler than hotshot las guns. But effectively, they're just more veteran guardsmen, effectively.
Yeah.
Better armor. Notably, they do come on 28mm bases. Normal veteran guardsmen are 25mm. Do you think we'll see ballistic skill 3 in Kasrkin? Nope. Never again. It will not happen. Because the interesting thing is, so if you weren't aware, it looks like basically after season 1, Games Workshop because this is a season 2 kill team, Games Workshop redesigned what they would want for the level of humans. So elite humans and normal humans. So before they would let elite humans sit on BS3, but then to differentiate it, they've gone to in on 4s.
Which I think is fair.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable, especially with the amount of bodies you get.
Yes, because they want to show that there is actually a difference between Space Marine and an elite human. Like an elite human will always be worse than a Space Marine.
And you can't show it through them costing more points.
Yep.
Because that's not how Kill Team works.
Ideally, if we had a D8 or D12 system, then you would have had more granularity. But when you're limited to D6, that's all you can do. Yeah. So Compendium Scions used to be Ballistic Skill free, and then Compendium Scions are very broken, so it would never happen. Yeah, because as Joshua says in chat, I doubt Kasrkin will get BS free. But they're effectively the elite of elite, and that's like, they're not like, because the Scions are like the Scholar Progenium of where commissars are raised and stuff, right? But Scions, Kasrkin are just a Cadian thing, but they're now, because Cadians are everywhere, so
it's a state of mind now.
Yeah. But for the strengths of this kill team, you have to keep in mind this kill team has changed quite heavily, because as Games Workshop found when it looks like they redefined what an elite human is, they had to change some of the stats because this kill team was not doing well at first. So as per the balanced data slate of recording, so this is the 18th of March. So just running off the balanced data slate because I have to. So everyone has +1 wounds. So they've all gone from 7 wounds to 8 wounds. It's over 4 armor save. You gain 2 extra elite points in addition to 2 elite points for your leader. So you get 4 elite points a turn. You have a new ability, which I'll cover in strengths for elite points. And your Recon Trooper can now make someone ignore obscuring instead of ignore cover. And you can equip 4 grips to your guns. And you get combat blades. Because, to be fair, it wasn't in the book, but every model had a combat blade. So combat blades are 1 equipment point, 3 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3/4, and they can work with the full Cadia tactical ploy. But the strengths of Cadians, so you do get 10 models. So 10 is a decent sized kill team.
Solid.
Yeah, it's like the standard. You ideally want to be 10 activations, not 10 models, 10 activations, because Hand of the Archon have 9 activations, but can spend a CP to go up to 10. So 10 is good. Everyone has 8 wounds, which is really good. 8 wounds is good as a base, and they have a 4-up save. So 4-up save is actually surprisingly pretty good for kill team because it actually makes you oddly really swingy durable. Like not reliably so, but especially if you're in cover and your opponent is shooting you at weapons that don't have AP, you have a way better chance of surviving. The other thing is they have really, really good shooting. So they have an ability called Elite Points, which I despise, but let me bring up. So
see, this proves that they're actually only elite. They're not elite because they only have elite points, not elite points.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. Like my big thing is like elite points could have done so much more, but instead of like showing special abilities, working in duos, doing special things elite troops do, elite points make them shoot better. So you start your battle with 10 elite points, and now you get at the start of the first turning point extra 4, so you get 14. Each time a friendly operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, in the roll attack dice step of that combat or shooting attack, you can spend 1 or more of your elite points to adjust 1 and only 1 of your dice. For each point you spend, add 1 to the dice and reduce the number of elite points you have by 1. So, for example, let's say I rolled a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 6. A 3 and a 5. So I could either turn the 5 into a 6, which would make it a crit, spending 1 elite point, or I could spend 1 elite point to turn the 3 into a 4. Now, as of the balanced data slate, so I don't like this rule. After adjusting your first dice, if you discard 1 of your attack dice, you can spend elite points to adjust an additional dice, but only 1 of your remaining failed hits into a normal hit. So you can't make 2 crits.
Yeah.
But what I could do in that scenario, so let's say I had a 1, 2, 3, and 5. I spend 1 elite point to turn the 5 into a 6. Then I spend a second elite point and discard my 1 to turn my 3 into a 4, and then I can spend a CP to reroll that too. So you can now auto guarantee a minimum of 3 hits every time you shoot, which doesn't sound too bad until you remember all the special weapons they can take. So even though I really dislike this ability, is actually elite points are already very good because you can modify dice after dice have been re-rolled. So let's say I rolled a 4 and then 3 1s, and I had an ability to like re-roll all those 3 1s, or I spent 2 CP to re-roll those 2 of the 1s, and let's say I get 4 4 and a 4, and then I spend 3 elite points to turn that 1 into a 4. So now I have 4 hits. And because you can do it after re-rolls, you can do crazy things, especially when your opponent makes you re-roll your successful dice. So let's say they go, oh, you have to re-roll 6s because they're crits. So okay, I re-roll my 6 into a 4. You can then spend 2 elite points to turn it back into a crit. Or the weirdest thing, there's some abilities, like say if you roll a specific number. So it says if you roll a 6, sometimes it doesn't say a crit. Yeah, I think this is very niche, but you can spend 1 elite point to make it a 7. So then you don't have to re-roll it. Because this is elite points. So hello everyone in chat. Kasrkin are cooler than Space Marines. Maybe. But effectively they're very efficient. So the key thing is now, because you can discard a dice to ensure 3 hits, and because you can modify dice after rerolls, you can effectively make 1-to-1 trades. You can walk up and kill stuff. Because the other key thing is you can take a lot of special weapons. So let me just... Melter
guns.
Yes, effectively.
Literally, when you started talking about making lots of crits, I was like, oh, mortal wounds.
So effectively, you always take a plasma gun, a melter gun, grenade launcher, and then the sniper. Unfortunately, your sniper does count towards one of your gunner options, but it's just like, as Reven says in chat, I would have preferred if elite points, instead of modifying ballistic skill, like if you spent 2 elite points, you did a mission action for 1 AP less. You could group activate for like 4 elite points. You can do a free dash for 2 elite points to make sure you're like doing more elite things. But it just modifies dice and it makes you very efficient at just shooting stuff. But also it works in melee. So you have another strength with your Forcadia tactical ploy. So Forcadia normally is use this when a friendly Kasrkin operative is activated. So until the end of the turning point, so it has to be during your activation. You can't do it when an opponent shoots at you and you go, Forcadia! You have to preemptively Forcadia during your own activation. You add 1 to the damage characteristics of both of the gun butt until the end of the end of the turning point. Yep. So this stacks with combat blade. So normally you go from 2-3 to 3-4 with your fists. But if you with your blade, you go from 3-4 to 4-5. And each time you would lose a wound on a d6 on a 5-up, you do not lose that wound. So you have a DPR, damage prevention roll, which is very good. So the thing is, especially with your ability to get +1 APL, you can have Acadian charge in. Statistically, you should roll 1 to 2 hits. But if you roll 1 hit, you can spend a CP to reroll into another, and then you elite point your 3rd hit into the hit or a crit, depending on what you need. So especially if you roll a crit first, which you only have like a 47% chance, I believe. But if you roll hot, you could just do 10 damage via crits, especially if your opponent rolls no crits. But if you're charging someone with 8 wounds and you get 3 hits, they're dead. And then you can shoot someone. Because you can use elite points to modify your melee. And the great thing is, if you're charging into a free attack operative that hits on 4s, and they roll no hits, and you roll a single hit, you can now use your 2nd elite point to go, oh, I'll turn this into a crit for 1, and then discard a dice and turn the other one into a hit, and just ensure deaths. So it's not like you are still dependent on rolling hot, but because everything effectively hits on 4s, as long as you roll average, you're basically spending your CP on rerolls. You can, with elite points, you can just ensure stuff for like killing. But yeah, like you generally use Forcadia as to like roadblock, or if you can like delete a key operative via melee, via charging, or like threatening a point. But it stacks with the blades to make you, even though you don't have the best melee, it suddenly makes anyone with a blade a huge threat out of nowhere. So it's a good tool to keep in mind. But yeah, the other thing is all your gunners. So we know like the melter. Everyone knows what melter, plasma, grenade launcher does. And then you can also, your sniper counts towards one of your gunners. So your sniper is good because he has a hot shot marksman rifle, which is a las what do you call it? A hot shot las with a tripod on it, a collapsible tripod, and a big scope that makes it a good sniper. So its base profile is 4 attacks hitting on freeze 3-4. So it's just a normal hell gun, but hitting on freeze, which is actually really good for this kill team. Then you have your snipe profile, which is 4 attacks hitting on 2s, 3-3, heavy silent, mortal wounds free. So the key thing about here is if you can stand still or like only dash, you actually lose a point of crit damage, but then actually instead of being 3-4, you come 3-6 and you go silent and heavy. So you can get some more use. And he has a camo cloak, so if someone shoots at him in cover, he gets to retain an additional dice, but he should never be shot at in cover. Like, especially if your opponent gets near to you, you will just die. But the cool thing about your sharpshooter is, especially when you combine it with your recon trooper to ignore obscuring, is you can dash up with a recon option to like get him on a cool vantage, and then he just deletes stuff. Especially because you can force crits, you can guarantee 3 mortal wounds. So that's really good. But even when you don't, the fact that he has a normal profile that hits on freeze is really good, because all of a sudden, let's say your sniper's out of position, but then you realize, oh, I can move and just shoot that guy. So all of a sudden you just move and you hit him someone on freeze, and you can just force through hits, which is really good regardless. Also someone, the leader. Yeah, the leader is technically an assault intercessor, because so the key thing with all your dice modification abilities is you have a plasma pistol which hits on freeze. It's pistol from your leader, because your leader can either have a plasma pistol and chainsword or a bolt pistol. Las, you never take the bolt pistol. The hotshot las and a power weapon, but you always go with the plasma pistol. So you got plasma pistol, plasma gun, melter gun. So you've got 3 AP2 weapons that, as long as they roll 1 dice, 1 hit, they will automatically kill anyone with 10 wounds or less without invulns, because they are taking a minimum of 10 damage. So you can just auto delete any 10 wound or less operative, and against elites you are doing a minimum of 10 damage, which won't kill them, right? But your worst roll will always maim them. Your best roll will just annihilate them, but your worst roll will just maim them, which is incredibly depressing for elite players, but now also any team that has 10 activations or less with 8 wounds or less, because, or 10 wounds or less, because you just it's crazy, you know, like especially with the leader can do it way more reliably because he hits on freeze. So you can happily spend a CP to reroll, and then you have all this elite point conversion, and you actually get so many elite points that going into turning point 2, you should be on 18 elite points, which is enough for you to like rip through stuff. Unless you've somehow gotten quite lucky, or your opponent's deployed badly to give you turning point 1 shots, which even then you're only shooting 1 to 2 operatives. And then I'll go on to the AP1 weapon. So the AP1 weapon is the grenade launcher and your lone crack. So this is the weirdest thing, right? Where you ideally, it's where the lone warrior is actually good, because you have enough specialists just to take 1 more guy. So your normal Kasrkin dude has an ability. Kasrkin trooper. He gets, every time he makes a shooting attack, he can use 1 elite point for free. So you give him your crack grenade, he's already changing 1 for free, right? It's also, if you're willing to reroll. Oh yeah, like their melter can just delete stuff. It can kill I think, yeah, even the commando knob, if they roll 4 hits, because it's just, they can force through crits and mortal wounds. But yeah, so one of your other key strengths is just literally the Kasrkin trooper with the crack grenade. Some matchups you actually may drop the melter or plasma. Like some people drop the melter into invon heavy teams or hordes, because they take the hotshot volley gun, because the hotshot volley gets a bit better with the new elite point change. But personally, like, I would just take a frag instead. But the crack grenade elite trooper, I've seen kill way more than he should, just because of that free elite point. Just because you don't expect it, right? All of a sudden, it's it's interesting how useful a vanilla operative is. Your other strength is your recon trooper. So he gives you a free scouting phase dash, which allows you to do one of the few reliable combos of, if you've got a vantage point near your drop zone, you fortify, and then you'd use the free recon dash to basically, if the kill zone allows it, you have your sniper to shut down the board.
Yeah.
Because he will just sit up there for life and go like, oh wow, this is so balanced. I'm glad they put this in the game. But his Warden Auspex ability has been changed. If you select one enemy operative until the end of the turning point, your entire kill team doesn't count them as being obscured. Which is horrible. Like, it's crazy. This team now has a way to get around obscuring. It's like, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely insane. It's so good. Shooting teams being able to ignore obscuring is like one of my pet peeves. Even if it's just one operative, because sometimes it's like your only way to stay safe. And especially if you're like Eldari teams who have 9 operatives or even 8, you're suddenly going, this is just insane. I have no way to play around this. But it's very good. Very good. I don't like it, so it's very good. Another strength. So this is weird. Let me get onto actually someone who's much better. Your comms. So the cool thing about your comms is he can give anyone on the board. He doesn't need line of sight to give someone +1 APL. And the other strength is he can do it twice. So you are sacrificing your comms to just sit there, but he'll give 2 different operatives +1 APL. So you're kind of, instead of, because normally your comms is in this weird position where, because he can only give 1 APL, your comms moves up, gives someone +1 APL, or just sits on a point, caps it, and gives someone else +1 APL. Actually having a comms you can just happily, especially on capture where you can just sit on a point and score naturally, just going, okay, I'm just going to stand here and give 2 operatives free APL is really good. Like, so good, especially on operatives. I'm very worried when Kasrkin players don't do it turning point 1 on models that have yet to activate, right? If my opponent gives +1 APL as their first activation, I go, okay, this is fine. I don't have to worry about this. If my opponent gives +1 APL to 2 different operatives who have already activated, it means going into turning point 2, or the next turning point, they could potentially, turning point 4, they could potentially have 4 operatives with free APL because if they then first activation use their comms to give 2 different operatives free APL, all of a sudden they have 4 free APL operatives on the board. So really useful, especially on stuff like Into the Dark. And if you're using your free dash to get more, mobility. Because, let me just check with your recon trooper. You can do 2 recon dashes. So if you're not dedicating to the sniper nest, you can have 2 different operatives dash forward and then either give them each free APL or just save it for next turning point. The other good operative is your demo trooper. When are we getting Pathfinders, guys? Never. They're horrible. No one should play Pathfinders. So the Kasrkin demo trooper, he's your mine, but he's weird. So he has a melter mine,
cool.
which is 4 attacks in on 2s, 4/2 AP2 proximity, 3 mortal wounds on a crit. So his blast padding. So each time a shooting attack is made against his operative, if it has the blast special rule or targets people within a specific point, you can reroll your defense dice and he's immune to splash if he's the primary target. So he's just like, he looks like Fat Man from Metal Gear Solid 2. If you understand that reference, you will agree with me. Put him on roller skates. He literally looks like Fat Man. Like, it's crazy. He has a big fat belly for some reason. So, proximity. The first time an enemy operative moves within white of this operative's Melter Mine token, making a shooting attack against each operative within white of that token, even if this operative is in the kill zone. And then when making those shooting attacks, they cannot be in cover, then remove the token. And you can't choose to just pop it. It has to be popped by this way. So this does hit everyone, right? So the main problem, he's 2 APL, so you can move and blast the metal mine, and then your opponent runs in, kills your metal mine, and kills your you do lose a friendly operative, but then they kill your demo trooper. Or you can give free APL to the demo trooper, who will move, plant the mine, and then dash away. So plant melter mine is 1 action point. Place it within black of this operative and more than white from enemy operatives. So you can't put it on someone's feet, right? That would be too unfair. You can only do this once. So that's actually pretty useful. But the demo trooper, even though people don't like him, you do have to remember he only has a hotshot las. But especially into 10 operative teams or less, he just denies an objective. So especially if you recon dash him up with your recon trooper and then give him +1 APL, he moves, plants the mine, dashes away, and he's just doomed an objective. So especially if it's one of like the mid-zone objectives your opponent has to contest, because that allows you to just secure down the board. You have a medic. Medic is really good. Don't listen to people that say medic are bad. And then your Kasrkin sergeant, he gives you an extra 2 elite points. He's really good. He's got 9 wounds, hits on freeze. You always gives him the plasma pistol, right? So key ploys, you don't use any of your ploys, right? All of your ploys suck. All of your strategic ploys suck, apart from reposition, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the melter mine is always such a blunder from rookie Kasrkin players. If you can't move away, don't place it. Yeah, you've got repositioned. So reposition is their best ploy. It also stacks with their best tac op. So I'll go over their tac op first. So you've got all these nice tac ops, but the best one is vital objective. So reveal this tac op at the start of any target reveal step outside of the first turning point. If this tac op is revealed at the end of the target reveal step of each turning point, select one objective marker that friendly operatives do not control to be your vital objective marker until the start of the next turning point. And then if you control it, you get a victory point. And then if you do it again at the next turning point, you get another. So the key thing is you have to select an objective you don't control. So depending on the mission, it doesn't work with secure. No, it doesn't work with capture, because capture specifically says this objective is secured by your kill team, even if you move away. And then we get to reposition. Right, so reposition. Select one friendly Kasrkin operative that is more than blue from enemy operatives. That operative and all other friendly Kasrkin operatives within blue of that operative and more than blue from enemy operatives can immediately perform a free dash action. You cannot use this during the first turning point. So what you do, if you've captured or looted an objective, you don't actually control it unless you're on it. So, turning point 1, you move up and capture your objectives. That's fine. You pick your home field objective, by the way. You pick the closest objective in your territory, which is usually next to your drop zone. You only put one guy on there. You can put more, but ideally just put one. You spend 1 CP to reposition off the objective. You now don't control this objective. So in the preceding tac-op phase, you now pick the objective in your territory closest to your drop zone to claim as your vital objective. You then move on it, loot or capture the move, like loot or just move back onto it if you play insecure. Yeah, it doesn't work on capture. Sorry, it doesn't work on capture. So yeah, you move back onto that objective, and then at the end of the turning point, you score a victory point. Turning point 3, you do it again, and now you have maxed an objective. Like, people may go, oh, it's a waste of reposition because I could use it to get into more advantageous places. But it's such a surefire way to guarantee you 2 victory points. It's entirely worth it. Even if you only do it once. Because the thing is, if you do it once, you can kind of fool your opponent. Because especially if you can kind of go, okay, turning point 3, I'm going to be hyper aggressive. I'm going to use reposition to be aggressive. But it's very good to use this once, especially on Into the Dark. Into the Dark, you just guarantee it twice, right? Because your other archetypes are Recon, Security, and Seek and Destroy. So you have... The only thing you're missing is infiltration. So you combine this with recon on Into the Dark. You've got unexplored rooms and recover item. Just auto score that. If you're into a like elite you can reliably kill, you go seek and destroy, right? So you can be aggressive with some passive you're auto scoring. So it's just like very efficient. Like this kill team is oddly very good at maximizing tac ops, which is a good strength. And then your other tac ops your other tactical ploys are quite situational. Obviously, you've got Facadia, which is really good. You've got Seize the Initiative, so you can reroll your initiative dice, which is very good if you're if like let's say you roll a 1, your opponent rolls a 2, and especially if you break ties, you're just spending a CP to take the initiative, and you can use it every turning point. So even if you're feeling janky and you go like, my opponent's rolled a 5, but if I roll a 6, like the key, like if you're gambling. And you actually steal that initiative, it could win you the game. But the ability to do that is really powerful. Neutralize target is okay. you use this before rolling. You use this ploy after rolling an attack dice for a shooting attack made by a friendly operative. If the target of that cover is not ready and either has an engage order or is not in cover, you can reroll any and all of your attack dice. So it gives you relentless, which is actually good if you're like fishing for crits. Again, like especially with your melters. And then you've got cover retreat. Use this when a friendly operative is activated until the end of that activation, while that operative is visible within red of another friendly operative that is not within engagement range of another operative, that activated Kasrkin operative can fall the fallback action for 1 AP less, which means you don't have to rely on your comms to fall back. If someone's trying to charge block you, you can just spend a CP to effectively move out of combat and then shoot someone in the face. So if someone's trying to pin you down in combat, it's really hard to do. So like this kill team has actually a lot of strengths. And even with the equipment, because of the balanced data slate, yeah. But like, as you said, like neutralized is just a niche thing. Generally, you're just saving your CP. So you're spending over the course of the game 2 to 3 CP for your redeploy, and then you're maybe spending for Cadia every turn. You don't have to, but you're probably popping for Cadia once or twice. And then equipment-wise, obviously you got the crack grenade, which is really good for you. Oddly, the frag grenade's quite good, especially on Into the Dark when you have lethal 5 up. You have stun grenades, decoy grenades, which just the cool thing I actually like is adrenaline shots. So for 1 equipment point, once per battle, when this operative is activated, you can use this ability. If you do so until the end of that activation, you can ignore any or all modifiers to their APL and movement. So it's kind of what we call the sunglasses trick. Because a lot of kill teams have it where your medic puts on sunglasses and they just revive people for free. This one is once per game, but when you do it, you revive them for free and then you can move around as normal. Like you don't have the APL modifiers for raising people. And it's actually really good to pair this with someone you're trying to save, because all of a sudden it makes them go to 2 APL again, or even 3 APL. You do have to plan around it, but because it's only 1 equipment point, it's really good. And then you've got 4 grips, which is better for Into the Dark, because now they go on all your special weapons, where you don't worsen the ballistic skill of your weapons as watching Overwatch. So you can guard on full BS, which is extremely terrifying, especially if you move and dash and go on guard. Like, horrifying. But that's the strengths of the kill team. So as you can see, they have a lot of strengths.
Yes.
A lot of strengths. Weaknesses. This is fun. You actually have no good melee, right? Especially if you haven't popped for Cadia, because the moment you haven't popped for Cadia, you just kind of become a chump. Your leader is oddly quite good in combat, because his chainsword, it hits on freeze, is ceaseless, so rerolls 1s to hit, and is 4/5. So he hits as hard as a space marine. Like, just like, rah!
It's pretty bonkers.
Wow, yeah. But you don't have any really good elite melee, so you can actually get overwhelmed quite easily. You still are only 10 operatives with 8 wounds and a 4-up save. Like, you can be swingingly durable, but also anything with AP hits you, you just kind of die. There's not much you can do about that. And then, actually, that's actually pretty. You are kind of semi-predictable. So the issue is, you're just, because everyone kind of knows what you're going to do. The only thing you can kind of surprise them is either by rolling amazingly well, or just there's not much tricks you can do with this kill team, right? You can get angles on people, but that's what all shooting teams could do. And then the other weakness is, because you have no way to group activate and you don't have many blasts, you do have the grenade launcher and the frag grenade, which is still good, right? Your mine is quite weak. It's a very defensive tool. It's like area denial. You can't use that offensively like the veteran guard mine. And the other issue is you just lose to hordes. Not auto lose, but it's incredibly hard. Like Vet Guard, for example, destroy this team just because they have 12 activations but 14 bodies. And this team actually struggles when they get out activated. I'll get more into the bad matchups, but this is the weird thing. Like you just destroy elites, but elites, I mean, like hordes really mess you up. And obviously, even elite, not elites, invuln heavy teams, which is rare, unless you've got the melter shooting against them, they can get around you quite well. And yeah, you know, as Revan said, good opponents don't really leave a lot of stuff in blast range. So the only way you're kind of being able to get 2-for-1 kills is having a free APL model with a blade, popping Facadia, charging someone, killing someone, and then shooting someone else. But that's not a reliable tactic into hordes. And then you can only do that once per turning point. And, you know, it's not great. So it's kind of the downside of the kit, because this is basically a 40k kit that has...
Yes.
Yeah, it's effectively a 40k kit, because there's no specialists. There are specialists, right? But it was one of the first teams where you felt like, oh, this is a 40k kit, because normally you would probably...
It's subtle, the difference between each model.
Yes. You would have expected like a Kasrkin like combat vet, but we don't have one of those.
Yeah.
So it's
like the way we had the vet guard guy with the big kind of fist. I was expecting something similar to that, or
exactly.
a big knife.
Yeah, but we don't have that, unfortunately. So
not
you've
yet.
got not yet. So that's actually the main weaknesses of the team, just like predictability, weakness into hordes, and then like just poor melee output. Like another team that really messes them up is Breaches as well. Even though Breaches are a short range team, because they have lots of ways to group activate, not only just with two models, but with two different models. So like they've got their normal troopers who GA2 normally, but they can like once per turning point group activate with like their two melee guys or their melter and their melee. So they have a lot of ways to carve this team. Key operatives, I kind of already covered it in the straight, but like your key operative is your comms. Your recon trooper is definitely a key operative, and then your gunners and your leader. And your medic
so the
is
team. Basically the team.
Like the only operative who isn't really key is actually the demo trooper. The demo trooper is just kind of like, some people drop him depending like into hordes, which I can actually see would make sense for a normal trooper with a frag grenade, because you get more output out of that. Because remember, he only has a hotshot las pistol. So once he's used the mine, he's just running around just like, whoa, who's getting within 6 inches today? So it's like, he's actually not that good. But it's just your gunners, because you have to view your gunners as your specialists, even though you're taking 3 of them and the sniper. But it's just like, using your comms to give 2 people 2 APL, just using your flexibility with your gunners, not forgetting your sharpshooter can fire silent or run up and shoot someone in the face. Which has caught people off by, like, I've seen people go like, it happened to me where someone's like, okay, my sniper's gonna go for Cadia, and I was like, oh, okay, he's switching to engage, he's charging you. I was like, oh no, and then thankfully he rolled 3 ones, and I was like, oh, thank goodness for that. He's like, I spend the CP a 3, I'll spend another CP a 2. I was like, yes, but. Don't be me. Don't pray for your opponent to not know how to roll dice.
I feel seen right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about you. How to collect? This kill team is super easy to collect, because it's one of the kill teams.
It is now. It wasn't
now.
Originally.
So we couldn't collect it at first because everyone in 40k was like, "Oh my gosh, Kasrkin is so good in 40k," and they've gone from being like amazing to very good. Which it just means there's more stock for us now. So I put this in my like start collecting video, like what do you call it? Video for kill teams to collect if you're a new player. So you can build this kill team from a single box. That's all you need, because in a single box you get 10 operatives, and I'll just read out the roster again. So you only need a leader with a plasma pistol and chainsword. That's 1. Then you've got your medic, demo trooper, melter gun, plasma gun, grenade launcher, sniper. Then you've got your recon trooper and your medic, and then normal guy. So that's 10, right?
Perfect.
If you wanted to be super optimal, you can eBay 1 model to get another normal trooper. And if you really wanted to, you could buy the Warhammer Plus miniature or try and eBay a sergeant to give a sergeant with a hotshot las and a power weapon. Although
I've got him ready.
You can use the commissar with the bolt pistol and plasma power sword, which is okay. But
it's not Kasrkin. It's not Kasrkin.
The weird thing, bolt pistols are actually horrible for this kill team, because the reason bolt pistol and hotshot las are the same weapon, but
One's got range.
no, the bolt pistol doesn't synergize with any of your ploys, while the hotshot las
Yeah.
does. So that's why you take the hotshot las if you're interested. But even then, you don't need and if you wanted to, you could get a third model to get the Kasrkin gunner with the hotshot volley gun, because the hotshot volley gun you can kind of tech into hordes. Because I'll bring up now.
I suppose if you own the Star Striders, you could just proxy in their guy with the Gatling gun, right?
Could. Yeah, he would actually work quite well. But let me bring it up. It's because the hotshot volley gun has 5 attacks hitting on 4s, 3/4 fusillade P1. So if you split fire, there's a good argument because you can modify each dice twice. You could turn if you did 3 shots on one guy and 2 shots on another, if you got hits on both, you could let's say I got 3 misses, I can discard a dice and turn one into a crit and a hit, and if I get a hit with the other dice, I turn that into a crit. So I have two AP1 3/4 shots hitting into a guardsman, which technically should kill them. So there's some argument there, but your opponent has to be a fusillade range, which is like blast range. But even then, there's no reason to do that. The most efficient thing is just to buy 1 box. Any tips for someone who wants to play Kasrkin but enjoys the Vox Trooper model too much?
Eating the Vox Trooper.
Eating the Vox? What? Don't eat your models?
I'm guessing someone's pet ate the Vox
okay.
Trooper.
Prey, eBay. I'm not sure the hotshot volley gun isn't just good. It's not good. But what I'm saying is you only need 1 box. So this kill team is actually really easy to collect. If you wanted to, you could do the more expensive route of buying 2 boxes of Scions and buying them 28 mil bases. But then it's literally cheaper just to get a box of Kasrkins, who are also the right scale.
And look awesome.
Yeah. The new Kasrkins are great. You get enough in the kit to give them all helmets and respirators, which is what I did. They were the box was you have to give your medic the normal head, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Helmet head for you. Everyone has the cool Kasrkin heads. You can actually do some cool proxies as well, but ideally, that's how you collect the box. Combos I've already covered. The main trick for this kill team is literally reposition with vital objective. You do actually have some other good attack ops like stand fast. You need to control 2 or more objectives and more than your opponent, but it's better for vet guard. Yeah. And then secure your kill zone, which isn't good. But then the other, you basically go recon or seek and destroy. Security is technically good into elites, but you kill elites. So you go seek and destroy into elites or recon, right? But this kill team does actually both really well. The other tactic is, remember, you can go fortify with the free recon dash from your recon trooper or double recon dash. So you have a lot of flexibility there. Your comms giving 2 people plus 1 APL. Your Kasrkin demo trooper with free APL or recon trooper, whatever, to mine an objective. Ideally, one's closest to your opponent, and then move away just to make sure it's a dead trade. Because a lot of good Kasrkin opponents did that to my Legionary, and they're like, "What are you going to do about it?" And I was like, "I'm just going to go behind you and get the objective behind you." And they're like, "No, what's going on?" Because I charged the melter, and then I was like, "What is your hotshot las going to do to me?" Come on. It's just no. But that's the other combo. And then using Folcadia, especially when you're pushing forward with the melter or leader, the leader just for the feel no pain, but going okay, my free APL leader melter is going to move on to the objective, blast you, take it. Come on, if you charge me, I'm going to hit you. Come and deal with me.
Yeah.
And then saving your CP for rerolls, or using cover retreat if you're charge blocked. So I think that's all the tactics. And obviously troopers with grenades. Ideally lone trooper with crack grenade. If you've dropped another model for a trooper, frag grenade, because free elite points, right? Are you also, please keep your leader alive, because if your leader dies,
That's
do go down.
such a resource problem then, isn't it?
Well, because you now get 4 elite points a turn, 2 passively and 2 from your leader. If you lose your leader early, you go down from 4 elite points a turn to 2, which is not good. So bad matchups. This is not Kroot, because Kroot suck, unfortunately. Even though Kroot are a horde team, Kroot just can't. Because they're 8 wounds, Kroot can't reliably kill them in combat. It's hilarious. It's just, Kroot just go like, no, human, no. So bad matchups. Breaches, Veteran Guardsmen, Blooded, Star Striders. I think Star Strider is actually quite a bad matchup for Kasrkin, because even though they're 10 operatives, they technically can get an 11th because of their assets, and they have a better medic than you. So they can play more aggressively and do more tricks. I would actually say Novitiates are a bad matchup for Kasrkin, because they can do what you do, but better and more aggressively, because they have two Purgatuses, who can move 9 inches and then shoot you and then just kill you, right? And you don't have much ways to answer it, and they can be more offensive with their crack grenade because they can force more hits and crits, which is just a problem. What other teams? I think I've covered all the hordes. Is that Wormblade? New Wormblade is actually quite a problem for them, because even though there's still 12 models, the team now struggles into Wormblade because they can be more aggressive. But it's a closer matchup, but I would say it's like 55-45 to Wormblade on like that 100-point scale. I think there's no other elite team. I mean, no other horde teams. An even matchup is Harlequins, just because they can oddly quite live just by rolling lucky with their invons, but generally it should actually be in your favor. But effectively, any team that activates you, Exaction is actually really good at shutting down Kasrkin, because even though it's 1 operative, they all have 8 wounds and a 4-up save. But the problem is, Exaction will aggressively move up turning point 1, and then turning point 2, they just pop reroll if we're within 4 inches, ignore cover if we're within 4 inches, and just start moving up and just shooting you. And they can play more aggressive that way. They can charge you and then just like fight you happily and then tie you up, because they will just outpower you and kill you. So Exaction are really bad. So it's effectively everyone who out-activates you, apart from Kroot. It's just,
That's sad. I feel bad.
I love Kroot. Look, I'm not laughing because I think Kroot are bad.
I know.
I love Kroot. It's just like, they're in such a bad spot. Like, they can't even beat humans. They out-activate.
No, they're elite humans.
Elite
I
humans.
think after the balanced data slate, if they're allowed to eat some Kasrkin, they might have a better chance.
Yes. But also, Star Striders and Novitiates. I think those are operatives that catch them out, because people go like, oh, they're 10 activations. It shouldn't be too bad. No. They just Felgor to actually beat them. It's weird. So if you can get the shots on Felgor, you can actually reliably kill them, but the Felgor matchup is probably like 55-60 to Felgor. It's not great. Obviously, Galapox do really well into this kill team, and Chaos Cult, because they both have 15 operatives. Like you just can't deal with that, unfortunately. And I think that's you actually do now quite well into what do you call them? Hearthkin salvages. Because of the new elite point change, you can now win shootouts with them. Because before, when you could only change 1 dice, if you got a bad roll, they could actually live. Whereas now, if they get 3 hits, they're dead. Like you get, it's just the weird dichotomy of you roll up to this Votan and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" I've rolled 1 hit. It's like, what's the worst that could happen? And the Votan just disappears. It's just like, oh, I just spend 6 elite points and you're dead. And just go, oh. It's not like, the thing is, if the Votan player bunches up for the Invon, then it can help, but it's still a rough matchup for their Votan. But they're outside of hordes, like anyone who activates them, they're actually very good into most of the elites. Like, they destroy all Eldari teams, unfortunately. The only one who has a chance is Harlequins, because they could roll hot on their Invons. But even then, it's because they're all 8 wounds with a 4-up save. And remember, as long as you're rolling 1 hit with any of your 3 AP2 guns, they die, right? And the other thing is, I forgot to mention it, when you use your Gets Hot, you can discard, I believe it's, oh no, even if you discard the dice, you still get the hot, because it counts as an attack dice you had. Because the wording for Gets Hot still triggers if you discard the 1, you just re-roll it. which is good, right? Kasrkin players were like, "Damn, we can't ignore the gets hot," and it's just like, it's just weird. Yeah,
Sure.
I personally think Kasrkin players are purposely like losing games. They don't get nerfed. Like they're just like, come on, guys, just hold out a little bit longer. And then yeah, they like elites. The only elites they potentially struggle into is Tzeentch Legionnaires because they have a 4-pin run. That's it. Unfortunately, we did have a friend who was who we kind of tricked into playing Kasrkin. He plays Kasrkin. He was just like, "Oh, guys, should I play Vet Guard or Kasrkin?" And we were like, "Kasrkin, play Kasrkin, don't play Vet Guard." And he played into I think 3 Tzeentch Legionnaires, and he lost to everyone. Because they kept rolling, he would roll 3 hits, right? And they would make all their 4-up invons. And it was just kind of like, he had more success with his hotshot lasers because they just started randomly failing armor saves. Whereas it's like plasma gun, 3 hits. And there's each guy was like, oh, yes. Oh, yeah, 4 hits. It's just like, anyway. But generally, they will destroy everyone. Hyrotech, it's the weird thing about Hyrotech. If the Hyrotech's too aggressive, the Hyrotech will lose early because it's like they can just force through hits. But if it's like a quite conservative, control-y type Hyrotech player, they can probably win. But it's a weird dichotomy of that matchup. But generally, like you walk into an Eldar player, you just go like, oh, this is going to be fun, especially on Into the Dark, because Into the Dark allows you to set up for free. But I think that's all the combos with the kill team. That's the pros and cons, good matchups, bad matchups, how to collect. I think we've covered everything. What do you feel about them, Scrivo? Do you want to go on and play them now?
Well, it's one of those teams I've just been debating because I've played against them once.
Yes.
And it was the one tournament that I took Hyrotech, and I probably was a bit too aggressive.
Yeah.
So my opinion of them was kind of like, it was middling. It was before the balanced data slate as well, so it was very unusual to see them, and it was quite exciting to see them. And they feel quite straightforward to play.
Yes.
As like just playing the basics, but then to use that well requires some actual practice and skill. So it's kind of interesting because it's like they don't like playing Hyrotech as an example. I was just like, oh gosh, this is a lot to get my head around, and if you misplay stuff, you're really in trouble. Whilst this feels like the foundation of it is simple enough that you can kind of have an all right game with it, even if you're not doing very well. That then you can build on it. So it seems interesting to me. Like, I'll have to see when I get down to the next kind of temptation of a kill team. Do I jump into them? But they're on the list, I think.
No, yeah, I like it's even though I hate this kill team because the way it's been designed, I actually think
I like it.
I think it's actually really good for new players because once again, one box is all you need. They are effectively 45 to 40% of the meta as elites, so you are winning at least 40 to 45% of your games, which according to the stats Kasrkin players just doing, right? They're like they're literally, I don't know how they did it, don't know how, but it gives you the basics to play. You do actually now have melee operatives that you can spec into, and as long as if you do like more practice slash you understand the game a bit more. Like one of our players picked them up and I was like, dude, you're playing them so well. And he's like, John, literally, it's just elite points. Don't you're being too kind to me. I was like, no, but you're actually a good player. And because you've put your basics onto this kill team, it's actually made you play even better because you kind of delete that randomness of your attack dice. You suddenly become super good. It would like, you'll still struggle into the top tier stuff because you're very formulaic. You still only have 10 activations and 10 operatives. But if you're using them to kind of get started with the game and get a good foothold, it's actually quite good, I would say. Because, you do become quite telegraphed. Like, you have to be, like, you have to really think about where you're sending stuff. But in general, like, into anything that's 9 or less activations, you win, which is... It's weird, because it's just like... They should be dominating. Like, they still lose to hordes, but it's not reflective even in tournaments.
But that tells me that there's the situation where someone's doing really well with them at a tournament, and then they get paired into a horde army.
Yeah.
And that's what just trips them up. So they get that whole 4-on-1 type of situation where they're almost there.
Yes, because I think if this team was ballistic skill free, they would be absolutely broken. Like, people go like, but John, they can ensure free hits. And I'm like, look, that is not a good thing to focus on. The fact that if they were on free hits, like if they had ballistic skill free, we just all be playing Kasrkin. But it's the interesting. So at LVO this year, LVO 2024, we had the elite players going, oh, I've had a great time. They drop a game and then we'd never see them again because like all the Kasrkin players were like below all the undefeated players. So the moment an elite player dropped a game, they dropped into a pool of like
a shark pit, literally.
A shark pit of like 10 to 14 Kasrkin players. So you just had the elite. I was speaking to one of my friends. I was just like, oh, what happened? You were doing really well days, like start of day 1 going into day 2. He's like, oh, I lost a game, John. And then what happened? I ran into Kasrkin. And then what happened? I lost that. I won a game. And then I played into another Kasrkin who locked me down again. It's fantastic. Just like, yeah, it's the rough thing about elites. It's like, I don't know why everyone hates elites so much. I did not like elites, but it's the way Kasrkin they're more like a gatekeeper team, I would say at the moment.
And you kind of want that. You need that in a healthy meta. You want to have these situations where, if there is these things that can be a problem, that there is an answer to them, and it's not just someone's teched into it. It's they've made an active choice to play that, and that's nice, especially if it's something that just like it claws people back from the podium.
Yes, I think the only problem is I don't like their second elite point change allowing them to fix a second dice because it doesn't actually help them against elites. It just hits the teams in between horde teams and elite teams, which is the big problem for me because you now have like Eldar teams and other elite human teams just caught in the crossfire, just going, oh no, please, no. Any tips against commandos? Oh gosh, commandos is a really bad matchup for this team. You can theoretically win if you just start alpha striking them. Like if you can somehow make a move dash on the melter with the knob, you can actually kind of win from there. But just wait for the next day. It's late. Yeah, it's just commandos are like their own tier at this moment, at this point. But it's like, I think they were...
Leave them alone, John. Yeah. Leave them alone.
Kick them in Felgor, kick them into the ground. But I mean, the cool thing I didn't touch upon, I kind of did with collection. Like, because it's only 10 guys, you actually get a lot of modeling opportunities as well. So even if you don't... I mean, to be fair, if you're a new player, it's probably just better buying them. But it's like, you can kind of do some funky stuff with... what do you call them? Vansar. The only problem with Vansar is they are actually really small compared to Kasrkin, so you'd have to bulk them up with bases. But you actually get a lot of freedom because they're just 10 dudes. So you can. I've seen people go Kasrkin. How do you do the Tau humans? Guseva? You know.
That'd be quite cool. Yeah.
Tau
just a head swap, right?
Yeah. Catachans, because you can go. Why they're so tough? It's like, these guns! Oh, my muscles! They make me so strong.
See, I'd almost be tempted to get some Ash Waste Nomads and
I've seen people do that.
The Fremen type of thing.
Yeah, the only problem with the Ash Waste is like everyone looks the same but different. But because it's like it's really hard to make them all stand out. You'd have to buy the Kasrkin arms. But yeah, I think unless you've got anything else to add, Scrivo, I think that's
not really
pretty much it. So before we go into shout-outs, we'll decide what the next kill team is unless people give us suggestions in chat. But I've got a tournament coming up. It's the one thing I forgot to shout at the start of my video.
Yeah, so what you need to do is if people super chat, they can pick which team you're going to take, right?
Yes.
That makes sense, right?
I might have already enabled that. I have no idea. We'll find out. But I have a tournament in June, the Goon Hammer Open. It'll be June 22nd and 23rd. It will be a 2-day event in Leicester. We will have up to 64 players. I'm waiting for the terrain to be sorted out this week. We'll have, if you win, you get the Goonhammer Open Belt and a partially funded golden ticket to the World Championships of Warhammer. We'll also have prizes for Best in Faction, Top 8, Top 16, Best Painted, Most Sporty, and like tons of stuff. And I'll be streaming the event with Scrivo, and Charles will be helping as well. So it'll be a super fun event. It'll be really cool to see everyone. It's in June, so you've got lots of time. Tickets are already up. And then obviously you can find where can we find you again, Scrivo, if we weren't paying attention at the start?
I guess the easiest one is Instagram as Scrivo Art. It's probably the one place to find me that I'm quite active, really.
Yeah.
And then on YouTube under 6++ Gaming.
Yeah, and Kofi as
Oh God, yeah. I've got a coffee website, so that's coffee.com/John Scrivens, and I do take tips, but also I can draw you stuff.
Yeah, he designed. Like, you can see my background. He did that, and if I point there, he's designed the Critcast logo as well, and he's designing me more stuff. No, on your one, it's anyway. There we go. So like, I think you've got a free slot because like you're designing me some more stuff. So if you want some cool designs, like you do portraits as well, so that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it from us from Critcast today. So remember, this will be on all listening platforms eventually, because we're actually getting back into, because we're going to do regular streams. Yeah. That's pretty much it for us today. Remember, even with all the elite points in the world, there's still a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit. There we go. And that's the episode ended. You could just chill out. Yeah. There we go. That's done. It's good. Let's catch up with chat a bit. Let's go. There was a lot of any tips against commandos you just lose.
What I do like is that we had a lot more active people chatting than when we were on Twitch.
Yeah, we've also
which is much more interesting.
Yeah. And obviously, I think because this will be on my live section, it will get way more passive views. I need to do. Oh yeah, we need a new thumbnail for Critcast, I think, because it will make better when it's on the Goonhammer website. Because we're on Goonhammer, guys.
Yeah, man.
No, this is wild. It's like, because me and Revan chat a lot. It's funny. It's like, because I call it Discord strats. I don't know if it's the same for 40k, but we have. I was looking through Discord strategies for certain factions, and I'm like, guys, none of this stuff makes sense. It's like I've had people telling me about a faction I played for 9+ months about how to play it, and I was just like, what? That's not right. Explains why everyone's losing with this faction. Because it's funny when someone tells me 12 activations, you don't have enough activations to do your setup plays, and I was just like, okay, if only I had 13 or 14, you know. I technically have 3 Kasrkin teams: Metal, Plastic, and Katachan. Oh yeah, I think the Katachan one is actually really tempting. The only problem is you need 3 boxes effectively, and I think that's like, oh gosh, 60 something quid, because the Kasrkin command squad is a lot of money. Like the conversion group thing. Yeah. But unless we have any, feel free to ask questions, by the way, like anything, or otherwise we'll just go where we can just go. Yeah, we'll just leave you. This is YouTube. We're on YouTube. It's actually, if you're interested about streaming on YouTube versus Twitch, considering I just randomly posted I was doing this today, YouTube has been way more successful. I think the only time Twitch was more successful was lockdown, when I did my UK Masters for Underworlds, and I streamed that.
Yep. I hate that I was right.
Wait, what did he say? Like, that YouTube would be more successful?
Yeah, it's like because it's linked to your actual YouTube account, so it makes sense, right? Like,
exactly.
It's inevitable. I
made it with the cat. I can't use the Katachan troops. I'm so sorry. Those like, my bicep is bigger than my face. It's just. I looked at the what do you call it? I looked at the new barbarians for the Dark Oath.
Dark Oath, yeah.
So I keep saying Dark Oath. It's
hilarious. Please keep doing it so I can mock you.
Dark Oath. The only problem I have with Age of Sigmar models when you try and convert them is because they're not like 40k, so the arms don't go on flat. They fuse in.
A lot of new models for 40k have the same problem.
Yes, some do. Some do, but it's weird because like one of the key things I used to like about GW modules was the modularity, so you could kind of mix and match a bit more. So thankfully you still kind of have it on Cadians and Kasrkin. But I was just looking at like even the Empire troopers barely have that arm swap ability. Like it's only on the basic troopers. Everything else has fused in arms, and it felt like it was they don't want us to actually kit bash.
Yeah, well, I think it's to get the poses.
Yes,
it's where the design goes, because it's about getting the good pose rather than getting everything looking like.
Yeah.
And I get it, because not everyone wants to have models that look like this, John.
I do. They're so much easier to paint. So much easier to paint.
Especially this guy, because he looks tiny. Look at him, little guardsman.
Yeah, the new guardsmen are actually smaller than the big chunky guardsmen.
Yeah, because they're to scale.
Yeah.
It's proportionate, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, me too. Charles was like, I hate them. I was like, look, yeah, your guys have comically large heads and hands. These guys actually look like humans. And when you...
It means you put it next to a space marine, it actually looks like it lives next to a space marine,
Yeah,
and not
you
just
put-
like,
you
oh,
put
look,
next-
it's a space marine wearing not clothes.
Yeah, you put it next to Primaris and you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually almost true scale. Death Guard, how can they beat Kasrkin Elite Slayers? Just pray you keep rolling 5 upfield DPRs. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so nice. Must be like kill the melter and plasma quick sticks. I'm a sucker for the heroic scale. It's like the problem. I actually love the old Katachans until I just realized their faces and arms are just horrible. You can kind of get away with the arms. It's the heads. They're just too like.
And if Rubma has it this edition, we might actually see some new Katachans. So
I mean, they've only been like designing the odd random model for like years.
6, 7 years. Yeah.
Any suggestions for getting the Melter and Plasma to stick around? Plasma, if you go at free APL, can move, shoot, dash out of the way. Melter, just fire and forget. Like you just literally. The Melter is a trade piece. You use it forward and like you overwhelm the opponent. So the thing is, do they focus on killing an operative that's already activated, or do they try and kill your other threats? And your key is to either just overwhelm them so they can't kill your Melter, or they just kill the Melter while you just keep killing them because you go with this activation advantage. The faces are disgusting, I agree.
So there's that guy actually on the GW website with the whole kind of pained look, because they painted him like in such a weird way.
Oh, I think it was they showed in one of the preview trailers. I think.
And he's just literally looking like in 3 directions somehow with 2 eyes.
Well, people are like, "Is it new Katachans?" It's like, well, if those are new Katachans, I'm very worried for the Katachan range. Because I think it was showing off the crew. Yeah, it was the crew versus Kasrkin, and I was just like, guys, if you think those are new Kasrkin, I mean, if you think those are new Katachans, I was just like, it was the worst time to be a Katachan player. Oh, for nostalgia, we know you really like those faces, so we've updated them.
So should we do Pathfinders next, John?
Yes, we can do them because by then it's the next balanced data slate. So yeah, we could do Pathfinders next. It would make everyone who has been pestering me for a Pathfinder guide for like 2 years.
I've seen it a few times in the chat, and I was like, you know what? That was one of the ones that I suggested, because I was like, Tower coming out for 40k. It makes sense that if people are wanting to cross over and come to the good game.
That's good.
Yeah,
we can actually do that. That is a very so we do Pathfinders next. Everyone in chat is like, yes.
Finally. And you can tip me for me doing that. There you go. I've done
Buy
the
him a
Lord's
coffee.
work.
There you go. But yeah, I think
There
we'll
we go.
bounce now because it's 10:30. So thank you for We'll do more of these. Like I'll be doing like I need to do a Q&A stream for having 10k subs. So I'll do something about that, and I'll do more like streaming on YouTube. But we'll do these like we're doing them about every 2 to 3 weeks now. So
Yeah.
we're doing. Everyone seems to like the way we do it now. So it's more fun.
Good. If they don't, cool.
Yeah.
Fine.
Everyone seems to like it, and what do you call it? We'll have more like advanced layouts and stuff, and yeah. So, thank you, and we'll see you guys soon. Do you want to?